thanks very much, Jeff Nielsen. Also, Jeff may not get a chance to say this, but he's also the proprietor of Jocelyn Finance, and he's very good at loan broking. So if you've got business loans and so on,
Pay you later.
Jeff's your man, yeah.
That wasn't going to be part of my talk tonight, but thank you very much, Isaac. I'll say from the outset, I've been in finance 44 years. Not a long time, not a short time, but during that time, I've had only four different roles. The reason why I mention it as a background is that people say to me, when I first got involved in networking, I was working for ANZ Bank. I was 20 years with ANZ Bank. I started there when I was actually 17 years of age. And within 3 years of starting with ANZ, in those days, which is a long time ago, you had to choose a path of whether or not you went into lending or international trade finance. And I chose trade and international finance. And part of my role in the very first job that I did was that I had to represent ANZ on 14 international chambers of commerce. And I was 26 years of age. And I can tell you, it was daunting. I mean, the very first time I ever went to an international chamber of commerce meeting, you met the embassy representatives of the country that you were with. You also met all the dignitaries from various government and everything else like that. My point was that I then looked at things and said, if you're going to network, you've got to find something that becomes common ground. And the reason why I say about the common ground is, to me, there's three types of networking. There is others, but the three basic ones are social networking, business networking, and community networking. Does anyone dare guess what, say, the differences would be? Is there anyone that would hazard a guess?
Your target audience is defined.
Pretty much, Paul. Yeah, that's right, yeah. But the main thing is, LinkedIn Local is a very strong and vibrant social networking group. It's got underlying themes, and that's what I like about when I come along to this side. With business networking, I want to go to a business group that has what I call like-minded people. When I'm doing business, like I said, I've been in finance now for 44 years. The one thing that I find from my clients is that I need to be able to sit down and talk with each and every one of them as an individual and understand their own idiosyncrasies, the issues they have, the problems they have. So when Isaac said, and the third one I call community networking. Community networking would be the likes of Chamber of Commerce. I look at it on that basis because it's involved with the community. So if you look at Gosford, Erina Business Chamber of Commerce, or you look at the Entrance Town Centre, or the likes of those, I call them fundamentally community business networking. They all have a part to play in the whole role. But Isaac asked me just to take one snippet tonight and say, what would I say that I've brought through in 44 years of my side of having to do networking since I was 26 to the time I am now, which is only 40. That's pretty good, right? And that would have to be, the one thing is to be yourself. And as corny as that sounds, it's about being genuine. It's about being sincere. It's not about making up things. It's not about trying to outdo others. And one of the hardest things in networking when you do it for the very first time is you sometimes stand in a room looking like a fish because you think to yourself, oh my God, is someone going to talk to me? Oh my God, who am I going to go and speak to? And at the end of the day, people actually feel as though they're isolated. And the good thing about social networking is everybody says hello to each other and has a conversation and that. The reason why I use that as opposed to Biz Plus, which I'm not here to talk about tonight, is that we specifically sit down in a very small group. I started Biz Plus 14 years ago. Is that right? 14 years? Thank you. 14 years ago. And that was because I came from a B&I background. And Paul, I don't know who else in the room knows B&I, but Business Network International was a founding business network group that I enjoyed. And I ended up running 2 chapters here on the Central Coast for nearly 4 years. And then I realised that the one thing that was missing out of that side was there was no support for small business. B&I has a really great place in life. All networking groups do, so don't get me wrong. But what I wanted to do was create something that was a little different, and we decided with Biz Plus, and Sue came on board because she was with me at B&I, and Sue is now currently our treasurer. And what we decided to do was we created a not-for-profit, and we went out and registered as an incorporated business association so that the owners of the group are the members. And it's a great thing. And we started out in the very first year at Erina, and we ended up with, what, 75 members? Yep. 75 members. And we were bludgeoned. We could not cope, right? We didn't have any restrictions, so there was no business restrictions. It was anybody could come along and have breakfast with us. And we met weekly then, and we still had 75 members. And so at the end of the day, we decided that we had to move away from just an open model and put some restrictions on it. And today we only sit at 14 to 16 members. That's our current group that meets at Erina, as Isaac said, on a fortnightly basis. But we meet mostly to talk about business, because a lot of us are just single business owners, and the one thing in our daily life is that we have absolutely no one to bounce things off. And it's very frustrating at times. Doesn't matter if it's, you know, a client issue or even a problem with employment or anything else like that. It's all about the fact that you've got no one to talk to when you're in your own office and 4 walls every day, 5 days a week. And so we only sit as a small group, but we're a group, and this is where I come to my second point about that: be yourself, be trusted, be real, be real. And the reason being is that's how you build trustworthy relationships. And the trustworthy relationships, I can assure you after all the years that I've been doing it, they generate business. And if you're looking for business, that's the main part of doing networking. And I assume most of the people in this room tonight are business owners. Am I correct in the majority? And so the whole idea is you would like to grow your business a little further. So look at what best suits you, because not every single networking group you can be involved in. You just can't do it, right? So if you look at what best suits you and choose that and be good at it and be natural, be real, I can assure you when you build relationships, people, and Mark, I'm going to use your word from a few months ago because you know that I live on this word, and it's called reciprocity. And that is that in networking, if you give, you will get back. And the whole idea of building trusted relationships is that if you give and you give enough, you will get back in return. So that's my short speech. I hope that gives you some idea. You got any questions?